Hello ladies and gents, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Bentud and I want to talk to you today about how we've set up our agency's corporation in Panama City, where I've been living for almost 4.5 years. And I want to tell you about how we are basically tax-free as a company, and also myself personally, how I pay myself in accordance with the law to also not be liable to pay any personal tax. So company tax, personal tax, 0%. And I think that's basically the dream for a lot of people. And so I want to walk you through how we set everything up and how it can possibly benefit you to come down here and be tax-free. So before I get into any specifics, I want to make it very clear. I am Canadian, so everything I'm going to tell you is in accordance with the CRA, the Canadian Revenue Agency. This is very different than if you're born in the United States or if you're born elsewhere, but I'm going to give you my story as a Canadian, and you need to do your own research if you're not Canadian, because I don't know if this will apply to you. Secondly, we run an advertising agency called Better AMS. I moved to Panama almost 4.5 years ago. I've been here for a long time. I made another video talking about living in Panama. But let's get into the specifics now that you have some context as to what our business is, how long I've been living here, where I'm originally from, so that you understand the tax laws. And let's get into it. So I have this doc that basically talks about some of the most important things. But before we do that, the first step is, if you're from Canada, you need to basically get rid of all ties to Canada. Okay, and so this is, again, for the CRA, in accordance with the CRA, you need to sever all ties. That's the legal way statement that was told to me by many different tax attorneys and lawyers in Canada. Sever all ties with Canada. What does that mean? Basically, you can't own a house there. You can't own anything really, gym membership, driver's license, things like this. You need to get rid of these things and remove all ties to the country in itself. And there's obviously specifics as to what these ties are on the CRA's website, and you can check that out. But you need to sever all ties. You need to basically submit your final tax form and say that, look, I am becoming a non-resident of Canada. Once you are officially in the books as a non-resident of Canada, you're not liable to pay Canadian tax on any income received. Basically, you become a non-resident, and then that's when you ideally come to Panama and you get your corporation set up. You can try to do it in the most simultaneous way possible, so that by the time you've kind of sent the form to the CRA and said, hey, I'm out, I'm becoming non-resident, you're already in Panama, you have your corporation set up, and you have all the legal stuff in the works. That'd be ideal. It didn't work like that for me. So yes, that's the first step if you're from Canada. Then when you get to Panama, you can set up a corporation. That process is pretty straightforward. There's many companies that will help you with that. The law firm that we are with is amazing. They've been around for 100+ years. They're highly rated. They can set up a corporation. Now let's get into the weeds of why within Panama we pay 0% tax. I think this is what people probably want to get to. So the most important thing is that there's two variables you need to really know when it comes to ensuring that you won't pay any tax. And I see so many people come down here and they have no idea. They just set up the corporation. They believe Panama's a tax haven. They don't understand these two things. So these are the two most important, most valuable things in this video. Even if you're not from Canada, now we're getting into tax laws of Panama specific to anybody that resides here. And so if you're planning to come here, this is going to apply to you. So income must be coming from outside of Panama. This is what we call foreign sourced income. Okay, all of our income as an agency comes from outside of Panama. Our clients are in the United States, our clients are in Hong Kong, our clients are in Australia. They're located outside of Panama. We have no income coming from someone inside Panama, which is very important. And so this is what they call foreign sourced income. Now, we also need to ensure that all shareholders or actual corporation employees are not contractors, are not servicing any customers or clients. So let me repeat that again. All shareholders of your corporation in Panama, so I'm a shareholder of this corporation, or actual corporate employees, not contractors, are not servicing any customers or clients. So Panama has this weird law in which, so long as that you're like a high-level operator and you're directing people and you're not actually doing the service or providing the service to the client. So in my case, we run an advertising agency that specializes in Amazon advertising. As long as I'm not specifically servicing the client and doing a lot of deliverables for the client, etc., and doing that kind of work, I'm in the clear, as this law states. And so if all I'm doing is I'm talking to my team, I'm kind of just directing them, giving high level directions, building the culture, but I'm not going near the clients. Basically, I'm not talking to the clients in a service type way. Fantastic. We're not liable to pay tax. Okay. And that's very important. So what is weird about this, okay, is that if I am servicing the clients, regardless that the income is foreign sourced, so if anybody as shareholder or a corporate employee is servicing clients, we are liable to pay tax on that income, regardless that it is foreign sourced. The misconception of people that come to Panama and set up a corporation is that all income that's foreign sourced, you don't have to pay taxes on. And they just assume that they go ahead servicing all the clients and doing all that, their daily tasks or whatever, and they don't realize that they're actually not in accordance with the law if they're servicing the clients and not paying tax. Now the question remains: how in the world are they ever going to know that we are servicing the clients? We run a remote digital agency. I'm in my office every day. Nobody's spying on me. There's no cameras in here. They can't find it out. It's kind of a gray area, and typically when they made this law, it was somewhat easy for them prior to the internet to see if someone was servicing their clients or not, because typically it was you had an office in Panama, and if some tax inspector wanted to, they could come down to your office, look at the employees and then inspect as to whether or not the people in the office in Panama are truly servicing the income that's coming outside of Panama, or if they're just a director, they're all just like directors directing other people, such as contractors outside of Panama. And that's kind of how our corporation is set up. So I'm truly the only actual corporate, shareholder, or I guess you could also consider myself employee, and everybody else is truly just a contractor. And that is, of course, just in accordance with the law, because these contractors that we're hiring in the States, even though they're basically full-time team members, that's just kind of the legal term for it. So we have that set up, and because of that, we don't have to pay any tax, which is beautiful. I'm never going to hire somebody from Panama. I have no plans to, because if I do, I have to make sure they don't do any type of client work, and I don't want to complicate things, so keeping it very simple. Now, this is I kind of jumped ahead. In what cases must we pay corporate tax? If you're receiving local sourced income from a client in Panama, then you need to pay tax. You're subject to paying tax regardless if you conduct business in a director operator way or not. Okay, or like I said, if you receive foreign source income, but your people from within your corp are servicing the clients directly out of Panama, then you're liable to pay taxes. Okay, what is the tax amount? Well, from what I understand, what my tax lawyer had told me, it's 10% on locally sourced income and 5% on foreign sourced income. Now, this is the company, right? And what's really important, this is another very interesting fact, is that if you receive $1 of local source income, any form of locally sourced income, apparently you're liable to pay 5% tax on all foreign source income. Now, this just blew my mind when the tax lawyer had told me this, and I was like, "Are you sure about this?" She's like, "It's in the book." So that blew my mind. And so, yeah, we're not, even if we have a client opportunity in Panama, which we actually have before, it just wouldn't be worth it, because the retainer for that client might be $3,000 or $4,000 per month, but then we're liable to pay 5% on the other $100,000, $120,000 that we're bringing in, and that comes out to negative. We're losing $3,000, $4,000 now instead of actually making money. So that one I have not fact checked in the book. All of this, to be honest with you, I haven't fact checked in the book except one thing, the foreign source income thing, and that's hard for me to fact check things because the book is in Spanish. But that one, there was that one variable, the foreign source income, that I did fact check and have a translator look at. And so this is pretty straightforward. Hopefully you're sticking with me and you're making sense. Now, that is all the corporate stuff. So great. Hopefully that makes sense. Now here's how, as a individual, as a shareholder of the corporation, that you would not pay tax. There's no tax on dividends. So if all your income is foreign sourced, and so you're not liable to pay tax on your foreign sourced income because it's foreign sourced, and or it's foreign sourced and you're not actually servicing the clients, well then in that case, dividend distributions to shareholders of the corporation is not taxed. Okay, it's 0% tax on that. It would be different if you had tax on the corporate level, then apparently there is some form of tax at the shareholder level when you do distributions. So this is actually hilarious, and I really want to share this with you. When I'm talking to the tax attorney, the tax lawyer, and by the way, the amount of we spent like a couple $1,000s across multiple people, so it wasn't just one person that I spoke with. But I'm talking to her, and I said, hey, like, okay, let's just assume that I've been paying myself a salary of whatever. Let's just say my salary is like $8,000 per month. And now I'm going to say, well, instead of this being a salary, it's just going to be a dividend distribution. I'm like, are you saying that now I just don't have to pay tax on anything? And she's like, yes. But if I paid myself a salary, I would have to pay tax. Okay, so if I entered in my accountants, I said in my P&L, or I told my bookkeeper, my accountant, I said, look, this is my salary is $8,000 a month. Well, now I would have to pay tax. But if I just go to her and I say, hey, no, mark this down as a dividend distribution, now I don't have to pay tax. And I asked the tax attorney, I said, like, are you serious? So if I just classify this, which takes 2 seconds, as a dividend distribution, I'm not liable to pay tax. She says, yes. I said, well, why wouldn't everybody do that? She said, well, most people do. Most people that are aware that you can do such a thing. And I just it was just mind-blowing moment of like, this is how this planet works, and there's laws, and you got to know all the laws, because if you don't, you may be missing out on saving 5-10%. Which could accrue to millions of dollars over the coming decades. So that's a beautiful thing that I only found out not too long ago, and I think that it's a very important, valuable piece of this video. Now, there is a caveat to this, which is very simple. You need to do minute meetings, and a minute meeting is basically at the end of the month when you send your dividend distribution. So I basically pay my dividend distribution, which you could also call salary, once a month. It's on the 7th of each month. And what I'll have to do is basically my lawyer will send me an email. He'll say, hey, we're going to run a minute meetings. And basically it'll take like 30 seconds. And I'll basically fill out a form that says, this was the dividend distributions for the month of June, and done. It's in the minute meetings, and it's recorded by the law firm, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. Now, when I found this out, I already had a bunch of distributions or salary payments sent to me, and so I talked to my lawyers. I said, look, I mean, what about all these previous payments? Can I go back and classify these as dividend distributions? Can we hold a minute meetings and say that, hey, Taylor Bentard has received this amount of money over this period from 2019, 2020, and these were all dividend distributions? And they said, yeah, absolutely. And so Panama is very, very interesting. It's very fun to understand all these laws. You need to make sure that your P&L statements obviously reflect that these payments are dividend distribution. So make sure you have good accounting. Make sure your books are in order. Your books are clean. We do our books daily, and they're pretty clean. We could tighten up our P&L a little bit, but I don't know who can't. So yes, pretty straightforward. Another important caveat, disempower your treasurer and your secretary. When you set up a corporation in Panama, you basically need to have a treasurer and a secretary. Don't ask me why. I don't understand. It's the laws. They told me, look, you need to have 2 other people. Ideally, they're people from Panama. Fortunately, I had Nicole, who I trust deeply, and I also have a really good friend. And so those 2 people are, the treasurer and the secretary. Disempower them. Typically, a good law firm will do this for you when they incorporate the company. They'll say, hey, are these people that you want to have, are these people that you want to give any power to? And you just, assuming they are, well, then great, do it. But if they're not, definitely say, no, definitely not. These are not people that I want to have any power to. These are basically just people that are going to be on the contract for the sake of getting this corporation opened. Straightforward. Do you need a Panamanian accountant? No. Benefits of maintaining your VC operation. This stuff is all pretty straightforward. I'm not going to get too in depth into this. Oh, here's a good one. 183 days rule. Wow, this video is going to be full of gold for everybody who wants to learn about moving to Panama. Save thousands of dollars on tax attorneys, but still I recommend you hire some tax lawyers and do your own research and fact check all of this, because you don't know me. I'm just a guy on YouTube, and although I did fact check all this with tax lawyers, it's do your own research. So 183-day rules, this is basically, you can only be considered a personal tax resident of Panama if you live here greater than 183 days out of the year. I believe, that's basically just over 6 months. And so assuming you don't live here more than 183 days, now you might be in conflict with your home country, which you are trying to leave from, so you wouldn't have to pay taxes, okay? Michael Atlas is a guy I mentioned. He's a really good Canadian tax attorney. I highly recommend him if you're looking on getting any type of consulting done on Canadian tax laws and getting yourself out of Canada. So this is it. Pretty straightforward, pretty awesome. I had a blast learning all this stuff. It's pretty technical, but it's really fun to learn about. You got to make sure that you're playing some defense and making sure that you're in accordance with the law all the time, 24/7, and get yourself a good law firm that is always aware of the changes to the law. And this is it. If you have any other questions, please let me know. If you enjoyed this video and you thought it was valuable, I did make another video talking about, living in Panama and just kind of what my monthly expenses are and all that stuff and the lifestyle here. I live a kind of a regular life. I work a lot. It's by choice. I didn't come to Panama necessarily to live a vacation kind of freedom lifestyle of working 2 hours a day. That's not how I am. And if you watch that video, I spend a lot more money than the average person. Panama is not too expensive to live in, but it's not like Colombia. It's not very cheap. So if you want to check out that video, go check it out. Hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button, and the only button that I care, the button that I care most about is actually the subscribe button. It helps me, continue to make great videos like this for you and inspires me to keep making them. So much love. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.